Lara Croft Tomb Raider is the film developed off the much-loved video game series of the same name.
No more set.
Developing a movie off of an already developed franchise can prove difficult, as there often isn't much room for any development at all. However, due to the light characterization of Lara Croft, there is a vast abundance of opportunities to exploit the use of the action and adventure elements of the games, as well as expand upon the character and create a more substantial plot.
Be careful, Lara. I fear there are things in the vaults man was not meant to see.
I'm not a man, Jean, and I'm always very, very careful.
The plot makes use of Lara's originally fairly light characterization, creating an entirely original storyline using only the same character and basics of the video games. This gives Lara a more sympathetic backstory with her father, giving her an overall more human and likeable side.
And that is never a good day.
The action sequences are presented beautifully, with Angelina Jolie performing all of her own stunts throughout the film. The way the dexterity and agility of Lara is presented in the movie is wonderfully done. However, it almost gives her the identity of a superhero, with her cleverly avoiding death at every turn, which contrasts the video games drastically, where death is something the player is greeted with every few minutes or so. This change is understandable, however, and with the improved plot involving Lara's family and friends, it's easy to overlook this supposed invulnerability.
Time to save the universe again then, is it?
Absolutely.
The cast involved with the film were big star names, with Angelina Jolie, Daniel Craig and Jon Voight all playing rather substantial characters in the story's narrative. Angelina Jolie's English accent is almost flawless, with her delivering Lara's quips brilliantly, possibly to even rival the video game's sharp dialogue.
I woke up this morning and I just hated everything.
Right. Oh, thanks.
The film was shot across various locations, with the majority of the locations being in England, but with Hong Kong, Iceland and Cambodia also being used heavily in the latter parts of the film. The interior of Lara's home was filmed in the Natural History Museum in South Kensington, London. As of August 2012, the film grossed at over $274 million, with it making nearly $50 million of that in its opening weekend. The estimated budget for the movie was $115 million. The film was produced by Paramount, Mutual Film Company and the BBC. Because the film was financially a success, this led to a sequel, produced by the same people as the first film. The film was released in the USA, UK, Japan and Germany on the 6th of July 2001. The only spoken language available for the film was English. The reviews received for the movie were mixed, with the audience rating it at 60 on Rotten Tomato, with many of the game's long-term fans loving the movie, citing a fun movie, indeed in the line of Indiana Jones's features, nice effect, a strange and interesting plot which does make sense most of the time, some good acting by the team around Croft, the right thing if you want to relax and take off in the world of fantasy for a short time. However, the critics reviewed it a lot less generously, with it receiving 2 stars from Common Sense Media, and The Guardian stating, Lara Croft is a better role model than Barbarella, and she's more athletic than a Jane Fonda workout. But that's about it. The BBC reviewed it with, but such is her all-round dexterity that we never feel she is in any actual peril, a flaw compounded by Glenn's utterly unthreatening turn as a requisite British villain. Critics on Rotten Tomato gave it a 19, the average rating being a 3.9 out of 10. When conducting my primary research, I discovered that there was no large bias of males and females who hadn't seen the movie, suggesting that the film appeals to a unisex audience. The people who didn't see the film said that they didn't feel compelled to watch it. When asking males their favourite action films, they responded with films starring traditionally male characters such as James Bond and Final Fantasy, whereas the females responded with films such as Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Ultraviolet, both of which include a female starring role. When asked about female portrayal in action movies, the general response from either sex was that they were either overly sexualized or overly emotional. A few added that if they weren't either, they tended to be created to reject any female image and just be presented as an entirely male figure. Several people said that females as lead characters wouldn't affect their experience of a movie, as long as the character wasn't discriminated against, was relatable and had a decent backstory. When asked about Lara's ability as a movie character, those who had seen it responded mostly positively, with several reoccurring improvements. One said, "She's a nice portrayal of a tough chick, however, as a lead character she's bluntly underdeveloped." Another said, "It's not a bad thing that her character has a shallow personality, as it allows her to remain heavily invested in the action side of the film, which is a nice change for a female character. I conducted several interviews in order to understand people's opinion of the film and also the character of Lara.